You ever grow up in a family where your absence feels more natural than your presence? That's how it was for me. The second son. The spare. The background noise in a house tuned to only one frequency, Mason. From the minute we were born, it was like someone handed Mason a spotlight and handed me a flashlight with dying batteries. If he wanted it, he got it. If I wanted something? Ask later. And later always meant never. At 10, he got a trampoline. I got told to be grateful for the hand-me-down bike with one squeaky brake and SpongeBob stickers half scratched off. At 16, he got a brand new sedan. I got a half-hearted high five and Dad's old keychain, not the car, just the keychain. Mason was charming. I was quiet. He was the future of the family. I was the one who figures things out eventually. I did figure things out, though. Just not the way they meant. I graduated early. Didn't go to some big university because, surprise, I was footing my own bills. So I worked instead. Learned the trades. Started off cleaning engine bays at Dell's Auto, then moved into full-time mechanic work by 21. No debt. No family money. Just sweat, socket wrenches, and the scent of grease that even industrial soap can't kill. And I liked it. For the first time in my life, I felt useful. Necessary. Even respected. Mason, meanwhile, was busy building a brand. No one was ever quite sure what that meant, some influencer nonsense, maybe? One week he was a lifestyle vlogger. Next week he was running a startup that sold eco-friendly water bottles made from recycled surfboards. Every family dinner was a rerun of the same show. Mason's new idea. Mason's latest award. Mason's podcast interview where he talked about being self-made. As if Mom hadn't footed his rent until 25. And me? Still fixing cars? They'd ask. Still breathing too, thanks for noticing. Then came the accident. It was a Tuesday night, raining like it had a grudge. I just finished a double shift. Took the back roads, like always. Some guy in a lifted truck must have been practicing for a demolition derby, because he ran a red and slammed into my driver's side like I owed him money. Airbag. Screeching. Glass. Then nothing. Next thing I knew, I was in a hospital bed with my arm in a sling, a bruise blooming down my side, and the sensation that someone had stuffed gravel into my spine. They told me I'd been lucky. Lucky. That word always hits different when you're alone. First thing I did when I could lift my arm was check my phone. Maybe a missed call. A text. Something. Nothing. I waited. A nurse wheeled in my lunch the next day and asked if I wanted to call someone. I said no. Because I shouldn't have to. On day 3, I gave in and opened Instagram. There was Mason. Shirtless. Grinning. Party lights in the background. Surrounded by what looked like a rented inflatable flamingo, a champagne bottle, and 3 girls in sundresses with identical fake laughs. Caption? Vibing W, the best people, sweat droplets sparkles, #blessed, #good energy. I blinked at the screen so long the nurse thought I was having a reaction to my meds. That post broke something in me. Not because I expected him to cancel his entire social life and camp out by my hospital bed, but because I'd been hurt, almost killed, and not one person from my family even acknowledged it. No card. No message. No Mason holding his phone sideways in my face saying, "Bro, you good?" It was like I'd evaporated. By the time I was discharged, I didn't ask for a ride. Called a taxi, paid with my own card, walked into my apartment, and sat down in silence. Microwaved soup. Took my meds. Laid on my side because my ribs screamed otherwise. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just stared at the ceiling and let the silence stretch. It felt familiar. Too familiar. That night, I turned my phone off. Not because it was blowing up, but because it wasn't. Not a single missed call. Not even from Mom. And that hurt worse than the bruised lung. You'd think after getting rammed by a 2-ton truck and spending 5 days on morphine, going home would feel like a win. It didn't. The silence in my apartment wasn't peaceful, it was loud. Deafening. Every creak in the floorboards sounded like a question I didn't want to answer. I tried distracting myself. Netflix half watched. Soup half eaten. My PlayStation stared at me like it knew I didn't have the energy to even lose at Rocket League. Day 1 after discharge, I sat on the couch for 6 straight hours, just watching the sky go from light gray to dark gray to black. Didn't even turn the lights on. I didn't want brightness. I didn't want comfort. I just wanted anything. Even a fake "Hey, hope you're okay" would have done. But my phone stayed still. No buzz. No ding. No sudden call from Mom asking, "Why didn't you tell us?" As if the hospital's emergency contact list wasn't outdated on purpose. The worst part? I'd listed Mom and Mason both. Just in case. I'd thought about changing it once, years ago, maybe putting my boss Dan at the shop instead, but there was a part of me, deep down, that thought maybe if they got that one call, they'd show up. They didn't. I opened Instagram again on the second night. Mason had posted a video. He was laughing, shirtless again, this time with a gold body chain. Who even wears those? Holding a sparkler like it was New Year's. The caption? Celebrate everything. Life's short. #gratitude. Yeah. Life's short. Especially when your own family forgets you exist. By day 3, my bruises had started to fade, but my brain felt like someone replaced it with wet cardboard. I couldn't concentrate. Couldn't sleep. Everything ached, not just my body, but my belief in people. I didn't respond to Dan's check-in text. I didn't reply to the nurse who left a voicemail saying my next follow-up was in a week. I didn't even answer when my neighbor knocked to return the package they signed for. And the weirdest part? I didn't feel angry. Not yet. I felt hollow. Like I'd just watched the last thread between me and my family snap, and now I was floating somewhere outside the orbit of their lives, forgotten like a sock behind the dryer. Then came Sunday. That's when I decided to turn my phone back on. Not because I expected anything, mostly because I wanted to confirm what I already knew. That there was nothing waiting. It blinked to life. Old wallpaper of the shop calendar. Lock screen still cracked from 6 months ago. Usual nothing. No new texts. No missed calls. Except for one. From Dan. Heard what happened. Take the week off. Pays covered. Let me know if you need anything. I stared at it for a long time. Dan. My boss. A guy I've known 3 years. Who once dropped a torque wrench on my foot and offered me a stale donut as compensation. That guy texted. But not Mom. Not Mason. Not even a "You good?" from Dad, whose love language was apparently sports commentary and sighing loudly. I didn't text Dan back right away. Just sat there with the phone in my lap and the weight of that single message pressing harder than my rib brace. At that moment it hit me. This wasn't just about the accident. This had been years in the making. Birthday cards that said, "Love you, Mason and family," as if I was a distant cousin. Christmas gifts that somehow always had a gift receipt still taped inside, just in case I wanted to exchange it for something more useful. Graduation? Mason got a backyard barbecue with catering. I got a card and a suggestion that I start saving. I had always been tolerated. Never really seen. And now, not even hospitalized, battered, alone, not even then did they see me. So I made a choice. I wouldn't reach out. No passive-aggressive text. No dramatic voicemail. No bitter Facebook post captioned, "Thanks for nothing, fam." Just silence. Let them wonder, or not. Let them sit in their own curated Instagram world with filters and flattery and no clue that I'd almost died. Let them celebrate. Let them pose. Let them sparkle. I'd heal on my own. And they never notice. Or so I thought. Because the silence didn't last. Not forever. But when the noise came, it came like thunder. Monday morning came, but I didn't clock in. Didn't check messages. Didn't even brush my hair. I sat by the window, one arm still in a sling, watching the world move on without me. Kids walking to school, People arguing over parking spots, someone jogging with a dog that clearly hated cardio. Meanwhile, I was frozen. Like my brain was buffering in the background of my own life. Dan texted again around noon. Yo, we got a guy from Fleet Max asking about the turbo kit install. Wants you to handle it when you're back. I cracked half a smile. Not because I missed the job, but because someone missed me. Noticed me. Valued something I did. Weird how healing can start with something so small. I finally replied with a short, got it. Tell him I'll be back end of the week. Then, right when I was putting the phone down, it lit up again, this time with something that made my brow tighten. 3 missed calls from Dad. That was unexpected. The last time Dad called me directly, I had to remind him which phone number was mine. He was the kind of guy who only used the group chat. And by group, I mean mostly Mason, Mom, and the occasional K message that took 3 hours to arrive. It was basically a shrine to Mason's achievements with me playing the role of background laugh track. So 3 calls? Something was off. No voicemail though. Just 3 silent flags waving from my missed call list. I stared at them for a while. Thought about calling back. Thought about blocking him. Ended up doing neither. Maybe it was a butt dial. Maybe Mason had finally convinced him to invest in crypto, and now he needed me to explain how to reset a password. I shoved the phone under a pillow and limped into the kitchen. By dinner, I had a microwave burrito and a headache. And 2 more missed calls. 1 from Dad. 1 from Mom. Still no messages. No texts. Just silence with a ringtone. I wasn't stupid. I knew something had changed. But I didn't rush to check. That's the thing about being forgotten. You learn patience the hard way. You stop running toward people who've already shut the door. That night I dreamt of static. Just a high-pitched buzzing in a dim room. I woke up with sweat soaking through my t-shirt and the kind of dread that doesn't come from nightmares, but memory. By Wednesday, the calls had multiplied. 5 from Dad. 4 from Mom. Even 1 from an unknown number in town. Maybe the dentist. Maybe the IRS. At that point, who knew? But it wasn't until I opened Instagram that I saw the post. Mason. Again. But this time? No pool party. No filters. Just a blurry photo of him sitting on the hood of a car, looking, not like Mason. His usual smirk was gone. The caption was shorter than usual. Can't believe this happened. That was it. No explanation. No hashtags. No flexing. Just that. And the comments? All over the place. Wait, what? You okay? DM me, bro, I heard rumors. Was it the store? Damn. Sorry, man. My stomach turned. Store? What store? I scrolled further, and there it was. A local news post. Just one line stood out. Authorities are investigating the reported break-in and fire at a recently opened business in downtown Fall Creek. And attached? A photo of the building. Or what was left of it. Charred brick. Bent signage. A fire truck in the background. The sign said, Hydra Wellness and Fit Bar. That was Mason's latest venture. The one Mom bragged about at every holiday. The one Dad took out a loan for, even though he told me 2 years ago they couldn't afford to help me replace my radiator. Suddenly, the missed calls weren't a mystery anymore. Something had gone very wrong. And now? Now they remembered I existed. I didn't answer any of the calls. Not because I didn't care, but because I wanted to see just how long it would take them to say something that didn't start with, "Hey, quick favor." By Thursday morning, I had 17 missed calls. The notifications stretched so far down my screen I had to scroll. Mom, Dad, even Mason. The unknown number had called 3 times too, which ruled out the dentist and moved us squarely into the trouble category. Still, no texts. No. Hey, are you okay? No. We're sorry we didn't come. No. How are you feeling? Just an avalanche of calls like they were trying to dial their way out of a burning building, which, ironically, might have been the case. So I did what any self-respecting, semi-bitter, emotionally abandoned son would do. I put my phone on silent and went grocery shopping. I wasn't about to break my healing collarbones speed-walking into their drama. At the store, I ran into Mr. Berman, my old high school chemistry teacher. He still wore the same cardigan he had since 2009 and still smelled vaguely like chalk and Windex. "You all right, son?" he asked, eyeing my sling. I nodded. "Yeah, just a little banged up." "You're lucky," he said, shaking his head. "This town's had enough bad luck this week." I raised a brow. "You talking about the fire?" He nodded, lowering his voice like we were in a spy movie. "They're saying it wasn't an accident." "What do you mean?" "Insurance just approved the build-out 2 weeks ago," he whispered. "And now, poof, ashes. That's a red flag the size of a football field." I let out a breath. Damn. He leaned in like he was about to tell me where Jimmy Hoffa was buried. "And guess who co-signed the property lease?" I already knew the answer. But I played dumb. "No idea." "Your father," he said, eyes wide. "Interesting," I replied flatly. "Well, take care, Mr. B." I checked out with 2 boxes of mac and cheese, a frozen pizza, and a 6-pack of orange Gatorade. A king's meal for someone avoiding family drama like it was contagious. When I got home, my voicemail box was full. I didn't even listen to them, just watched the count tick up like a broken gas pump. Then it happened. Around 6:30 p.m. My phone froze for a second, then lit up. 63 missed calls. The top one? Mom. I stared at it. Swiped down to refresh. Same number. Same name. Same result. Then came the text. Not a paragraph. Not an explanation. Just 6 words. "We're in trouble. Call now." No period. No heart emoji. No follow-up. And me? I just stared at it. Because now they needed me. Now, after years of being the spare wheel in their family road trip, they remembered I existed. Now, when the Golden Boys' empire was toast and their safety net was burning, they remembered the quiet one, who fixed things for a living. My thumb hovered over the message for a moment. I could almost hear Mom's voice, overly sweet when she wanted something. "Honey, we just didn't know how bad it was. Mason's going through a lot right now. Funny how their emergencies always came with amnesia about the years they left me out to dry. Like the time my car broke down senior year and I asked for help with a tow. They said they couldn't afford it, while Mason posted a story holding court in a rented hot tub with Senior Skip Day tagged in gold letters. Or the time I got my mechanic certification and no one showed up to the ceremony, because they had a conflict. Turned out the conflict was Mason's dog's birthday party. That night, I ate cake alone and told myself it didn't matter. But it always did. So yeah, now they remembered me. Now, when everything was crashing and burning, they had me on speed dial. But I wasn't their fire extinguisher anymore. I put the phone down, turned on the oven, and slid in my frozen pizza like nothing happened. Because for the first time in my life, their emergency wasn't mine. Not anymore. Friday morning, I woke up to the smell of cold pizza and the sound of my phone vibrating like it was trying to escape the nightstand. Call number 64, apparently. I didn't pick up. Just stared at the screen until it stopped and the silence came rushing back in, sharp, sweet, and deserved. For the first time, I didn't feel guilty for ignoring them. I'd spent my whole life showing up for people who wouldn't even bother remembering I existed unless they needed a ride, a wrench, or a last-minute favor. Now they needed all 3, and I was busy. By mid-afternoon, my voicemail notifications maxed out. The phone wouldn't even show how many were waiting anymore. Just voicemail full. A phrase that felt oddly satisfying. But around 3 p.m., curiosity got the better of me. Not compassion. Not concern. Just plain, nosy curiosity. I tapped into the local news site and typed in Hydra Wellness and Fit Bar Fire. There it was. Front page of the community section. Breaking, local wellness business under investigation after overnight fire. Owner, 28-year-old Mason Whitmore, currently cooperating with police. Authorities have not ruled out financial misconduct or insurance fraud. There was a video, too. A reporter standing outside the blackened remains of the building, saying words like suspicious, code violations, and civil liability. The camera even zoomed in on a busted security camera that apparently hadn't recorded anything. Classic. I sipped my Gatorade like it was tea. So that's why they were calling. Because Mason's golden business boy era just collapsed, and their names were probably on every dotted line that mattered. And who better to call when you're under investigation and out of options? The son who was always good with logistics. The one who understood technical stuff. The one they ignored until he became a last resort. I put the phone down again. It buzzed. Again. This time, I finally tapped speaker. It was Dad. His voice came through shaky, forced calm. The tone he used when he was one stubbed toe away from a meltdown. Hey, son. It's me. Your father. Well, you've probably heard by now. It's a big misunderstanding, and Mason's handling it the best he can. But we might need your help. There's some paperwork, and we're not sure what the fire marshal's gonna say. Could you give me a call back? Please? He paused like he wanted to say more. Then hung up. That was it. No, how are you? No, heard you were in the hospital. No, we're sorry. Just a panicked dad hoping the family scapegoat had suddenly turned into a free legal department and insurance fixer. I sat in silence, letting the voicemail sink in. They really thought I was just waiting for the chance to be useful again. That I'd jump to help them, because that's what I'd always done. But here's the truth. I was done. Done patching things for people who wouldn't blink if I vanished. Done pretending that being needed was the same thing as being valued. Done letting guilt drive me toward fires I didn't start. I deleted the voicemail. Then opened another. This one was from Mom. And unlike Dad, she didn't even try to sound calm. Sweetheart, please, we're in trouble. Mason, he's not doing well, and they're saying he could face charges. We didn't know all the details with the lease. Your father signed the wrong paperwork. We just need someone who knows this stuff. Please call me back. Please. She sniffled at the end like it would unlock something in me. It didn't. If anything, it made me remember every time I was sick and she told me to tough it out. Because Mason had a soccer game. Or when I was 14 and broke my wrist, and she didn't take me to the doctor for 2 days because Mason needed a haircut and she couldn't do everything. Now she wanted me to be everything. I didn't reply. But I did start writing a list. Not a petty one. A real one. Of every time I'd been there. Every time I'd helped. Every time they took and didn't give back. Every forgotten moment, every silence, every skipped ceremony, every "You'll be fine, you're strong." I wrote it on a napkin while finishing my cold pizza. And when I was done, I took a photo of it. Just in case I needed a reminder of why silence sometimes speaks louder than forgiveness. I was halfway through organizing my tool drawer, finally separating the 10mm sockets from the Bermuda Triangle of bits they always disappear into, when my phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. At this point, I didn't even flinch. But this time, it left a voicemail. I tapped play out of sheer curiosity, expecting another generic plea from Mom or some nervous lawyer pretending to be on our side. Instead, I heard a voice I hadn't heard in months. Mason. Yo. Hey. It's me. Mason. Obviously. He paused like he expected me to clap or something. I know this is weird, and I'm not even sure what to say. Mom and Dad said you've been ignoring them. I guess I don't blame you. Things have been crazy. I sat down slowly, letting the sound of his voice hang in the air like a leftover smell you can't quite place. It was the same voice he used when he messed up in high school, after crashing Dad's car and somehow blaming the sun glare. I didn't know you were in the hospital, man, he said. Like, for real. Nobody told me. I wouldn't have, I didn't. Look, the party thing, that was just bad timing. I didn't mean to. Another pause. Then the kicker. I could really use your help right now. Not just because stuff's bad, but I miss you, bro, seriously. We haven't talked in a while. I've been thinking about all the stuff we used to do. Remember building that go-kart? Or when you stayed up helping me cram for physics? He chuckled. We were good, man. And I was a jerk sometimes. I get that now. Maybe too late, but I get it. Just, if you get this, call me back. Please. I'll explain everything. Click. No, I'm sorry. No direct acknowledgement of what he didn't do. Just a nostalgia tour with a side of, you're my last hope. I stared at the phone like it might burst into flames from the effort. Because here's the thing, I did remember building that go-kart. I remembered working on it all summer while Mason bailed after the first weekend, claiming he had creative direction, and then leaving me to figure out how axles worked. I remembered staying up helping him cram for physics, then watching him tell our parents I had begged him to study so I could feel smart. The memories were real, just edited differently in his head. In his version, we were close. Brothers bonded by shared projects and late-night cereal. In mine, I was the free labor, the fallback, the shadow. I turned off the phone again. But the guilt, it showed up anyway. Guilt has a way of slipping through even the strongest emotional locks. What if I didn't help and something worse happened? What if this whole mess spiraled so far that Mason actually faced jail time? Or worse, dragged Mom and Dad down with him? But then I thought about that hospital bed. The fluorescent lights. The quiet. The way no one came. And I reminded myself, I was not their safety net. Not anymore. That night, I lay in bed and let the message replay in my mind, not because I missed Mason, but because I was trying to figure out if there was even a sliver of truth in his voice. If maybe, for once, he really meant it. But the next morning, I woke up to another post on his socials. Not an apology. Not an update. Just a selfie. Him at a cafe. Caption. Taking time for mental health. Hot beverage sparkles. Hashtag self-care. Hashtag recharge. Hashtag no energy for negativity. And that was all I needed to see. Because when someone treats your silence like an obstacle instead of a consequence, they're not sorry. They're just stalling. Saturday morning. Bright, breezy, and peaceful, until the knock. Not a soft, hey neighbor, knock. A rapid, desperate, borderline FBI-level knock. I stayed still at first. Maybe they'd go away. They didn't. I peeked through the peephole. Mom. And Mason. Mason was wearing sunglasses like he thought the lenses could shield him from reality. Mom was gripping her purse like it held the answer to all their problems. Or maybe the problem itself. I opened the door just enough to lean against the frame. Hey, I said flatly. Mom exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for years. Thank God. Mason shifted his weight and gave me the smallest smile I'd ever seen him wear. It didn't fit him. We tried calling. Mom started. I know, I said. An awkward silence followed. The kind that makes you want to crawl into your shoes. We're in trouble, she finally said, voice cracking like this was her first real consequence. They're investigating the fire. The insurance is stalling, and the lawyer says we need help proving it wasn't intentional. You mean proving it wasn't fraud? I corrected. Mason flinched. Yeah, he mumbled. That. Mom stepped in. The thing is, the building was under your father's name. Mason used the business loan under his LLC, but the permits, the wiring, the fire safety inspections, well, you skipped them. I finished. She didn't deny it. We just thought you'd figure it out later. I interrupted. Mason took off his sunglasses. His eyes were bloodshot. Whether from stress or a hangover, I couldn't tell. Maybe both. We messed up, he said, sounding more human than usual. And you know this stuff. You know systems, forms, logistics. You could help us make sense of the paperwork, maybe even testify. Just enough to buy us time while our lawyer works things out. I let the words hang. They wanted me to step in. Speak up. lend my name, my credibility, and my knowledge to fix the disaster they built without me. And yet, where were they when I was in the hospital? Where were they when I was eating jello through a straw with a cracked rib, wondering if maybe I'd imagined being part of a family? Do you even remember what hospital I was in? I asked. Silence. Mom looked down. Mason blinked like I just changed the language on the conversation. She started. You don't, I said. You didn't call. Didn't show up. I could have died and you'd still be at the juice bar cutting ribbon. That's not fair, Mom said, but her voice cracked again, and this time, she didn't sound so sure. I opened the door wider. Not as an invitation, but as a final gesture. Come in, I said. They looked surprised. I motioned to the dining table, where I had something waiting. A manila envelope. Already sealed. Mason sat down cautiously, like it might explode. I had a feeling you'd show up, I said, sitting across from them. So I made copies. Copies of what? Mom asked. I slid the envelope forward. The original fire inspection reports. City filings. Building code violations. I pulled them from the county archive last night. Mason looked stunned. You did all that? Yeah. I nodded. Because I wanted to know what kind of mess you made. His face brightened, too early. And I made one more thing. I reached into the drawer and pulled out a single sheet of paper. Their faces dropped the moment they saw it. A notarized statement. From me. It confirmed I was not involved in the business, didn't sign or co-sign any permits, and had no knowledge of safety violations. I'm not going down with you, I said simply. Mom opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Mason slumped back, speechless. I wish you the best, I said. But I'm not the guy who patches the holes in your boat anymore. They didn't argue. They just sat there, quiet, like the weight of every choice they ever made was finally settling in. I stood up. You can see yourselves out. And I left the room. They left without another word. No. Thank you? No. Sorry. Not even a, we'll figure it out. I didn't expect one. An hour later, I saw Mason's Instagram go dark. Deleted. Or maybe just wiped clean. No more self-care selfies. No more hustle quotes. Just digital tumbleweed. I made myself a grilled cheese. Sat down with it. And smiled for the first time in a while, not because I won anything, but because for once I didn't lose. Later that night, my phone buzzed again. One new voicemail, from Dad. I tapped play. I don't know what to say. I guess I thought you'd always be there. That's what you've always been. Steady. Fixing things. But I see now we never really showed up for you. And I don't blame you for not showing up for us. Just, take care, alright? That was it. No spin. No ask. Just a broken man, realizing the scaffolding he leaned on, walked away. I didn't call back. Didn't need to. Because sometimes healing isn't loud. Sometimes it's choosing not to carry what was never yours to hold. And the best kind of closure? Is not needing one.